So, work-life balance, it's a myth. Totally is. Here's why.
One day I want to find someone who sees the world like me.
What's going on, people? Ben and Brittany here from benandbrittany.net, and today we are going to talk about work-life balance. It's something that we struggle with in our daily lives, and we don't think it exists. And pretty much, there is no finding a balance. It's more like a juggling act and a give and take kind of thing. Right? What do you think?
Yeah. So work-life balance, I think the word balance creates a lot of balance.
Balance. Doesn't exist. Go ahead.
It creates a lot of guilt. I think especially for working parents.
What do you mean guilt?
So like, for example, balance. I think that word makes you feel like work and life should just mesh in harmony and everybody should be
it makes you
feeling
if
like
you're
they're
not
getting even attention and you're split 50-50. You're giving half your life to work and half your life to family and marriage and everything's just working together perfectly. But in reality, everything in your life that's important, work, marriage, your kids, self-care, they all need your full attention when something's going on. So it's really hard to create this even keel balance.
Yeah, it gives the illusion that it's easy to be good at. Like, oh, you just got to have work-life balance because it's easy. No, it's
right.
not.
No. It's much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And I the good news is there is something you can do about it, but we just feel like the term work-life balance, that's where the myth is. For the longest time in my career, I thought I was doing something wrong because people kept saying, you got to create more work-life balance, And I'm like, so when I work on a Saturday, is that not work-life balance? And I had this guilt, like I was doing something incorrectly.
Yeah, it's like, am I infringing on the goal that I set to achieve work-life balance? Like,
right.
You always feel bad if you're working, and if you go through life feeling bad for working, like that's just not a healthy thing.
And if you feel bad because you're giving too much time to your family, that's also an unhealthy thing to be feeling guilty about that. There should be no guilt. Yeah. So Ben and I were talking about this before, and he mentioned it briefly that we really feel like it's a juggling act.
Yeah.
And that, you're juggling the balls of work, your career, family, your marriage, and then should be self-care. And then like any hobby that you want to do. Like
right. Things that make you feel self-actualized and full on the inside. Like that's a ball you're juggling.
Yeah, a lot of people, their faith is very important to them.
Yeah.
So as you're envisioning these rocks of yours that are very important to you, you're juggling them all the time. You're just in this constant juggle act. But every now and then you have to hold one of those rocks. And that rock is the one that you just have to give more attention to at that time. This could happen throughout the day. It could change throughout the week. It just depends on what's going on in your life. And you just have to make that decision based on what the priorities are in your life at that time. So for example, March to April, March to May is an extremely busy time in the real estate career. So oftentimes I am going to choose to focus and hold on to the work rock a little bit more because I know that is the prime earning time for my career, which also means that's the prime earning time for my family. It's the most important time of the year where if I put a lot of my time into work, I'm going to be able to produce income that's going to last us for 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, it's farming.
Right.
It's
just
what it
makes
is.
sense.
Like you get to reap what you sow, and like the more that she works during her busy time of the year, the more we get to reap the benefits of that. And it's farming.
Exactly.
And I think that like every time, like if you go to Google right now and you Google work-life balance and you click on images, every single one of them is a scale.
Right.
And that's just we don't think that that's correct.
We don't think that's the right image.
It should be a juggler. Right. I think.
I agree.
Like just a juggler that just got off the trapeze and now he's juggling, right? He's juggling all these different things that happen in people's lives. And each one of those balls is unique to the person. Like I have a different set of balls than you have.
Yes.
I didn't realize how bad that sounded until I said it, but it's true. Like my set of balls is different than your set of balls.
Can we use the term rocks?
So, yes.
Our rocks
My
are
rocks
different.
are different than your rocks. All right.
Thank
my
you.
beanbags.
Alrighty.
But that's true. Like everybody has a certain amount of things that are super important to them in their lives, and it's not a matter of balancing it out. It's a matter of juggling them and not letting them fall.
Right. And just recognizing where you need to prioritize. And that can vary day to day, hour to hour. There's times where, I'm holding on to the family rock, and that's because I'm taking Kaylin to some of her asthma appointments. And then I bring her back to school, and then I go back to the work rock, and I'm focusing on work. Mm-hmm. And when you're shifting in between those rocks, you kind of have to, it's almost like taking off a hat and putting on another. When mom hat is on, a lot of times I'm putting my cell phone in my purse and I'm trying to be present in that moment. That's not to say that, if I'm watching Kaylin at gymnastics, I might check a couple work emails while they're just doing some stretches. And I think that's completely okay. And you shouldn't feel guilty for it. I think a lot of times, whenever Kaylin first started going to school, I used to feel guilty when I couldn't attend field trips. And I felt like all the other moms were judging me because they all got to go. You just have to get rid of that. And it goes back to, you can't put your self-worth in other people's opinions of you. You just have to learn to be okay with it, and that you have these other rocks that maybe they don't have. I give all the power and credit in the world to stay-at-home moms. I think that it takes a special person to be able to do that. It just wasn't in the cards for me.
Yeah.
And because of that, I do have to work and provide for the family, and I have to make sure that that is a focus so that way I can take care of my family. And there should be no guilt that comes with that. And also, Ben and I just have big dreams. We have a company that we want to build, and we want to, grow this real estate thing into a lot more.
Yeah. And that takes time and effort and energy.
Yep. And I just tell myself, I'm just teaching our children that you don't have to do the 9-to-5 salary position if you don't want to, that you can have a dream, chase after it, be successful, and be self-employed.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel bad for taking the kids like Brittany's self-employed, and sometimes like we all as a family go to showings, and we're technically going to Brittany's work with her. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that we deserve to feel guilty about that, because like that also is in turn shaping the children into a certain mentality that's like, okay, like mom works hard for what she gets, like, and we keep telling them like the reasons that we work, and we make sure that they understand that like hard work does pay off. Like Brittany and I always tell each other, like when times are tough, we're like, nobody works this hard and doesn't have something good happen to them.
Right.
So it's just like, if you're holding on to that work rock a little bit longer and you're letting the family rock up in the air, like that's because that rock is coming back down to you. And if you don't make sure you handle the work rock properly, the family rock's not gonna come down as easy. Like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like using this analogy, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but what I'm saying is like sometimes you have to work in order to spend quality time with your family and do things and have a fulfilling home life. Because like, money doesn't buy everything, but it sure as hell buys a lot of things.
And it just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, like if we had an unlimited amount of money, like 99% of Brittany and I's problems that ever arise would just go away, because like money can take care of a lot of things. So like that work rock is important. Don't feel bad for hanging on to it too long.
Yep. And then teaching your kids a good work ethic. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And, Ben mentioned that sometimes we'll take the kids on showings with us, and then after that we'll go do something fun. Mm-hmm. Whether it's to get ice cream or we have taken the kids on a showing, and then on the way to Disney on Ice, like we took the girls to Disney on Ice one time. On the way there, we did a showing. On the way from the showing to the venue where Disney on Ice was, I wrote the offer and submitted it. Then during the
I was driving, by the way.
Ben was driving. And then during like the what do they call that when there's a break?
Intermission.
During the intermission, I negotiated and got my client's offer accepted. That right there was just a bunch of juggling, but I did it. It takes skill. It takes some time to get in that groove.
It takes trial and error.
Absolutely.
Like in order to start trying to do it properly, like it takes trial and error. Like you're probably already doing it. Everybody does it without, like, subconsciously. They just do it.
Yeah, you do it without thinking.
And if you're at a point where you're starting to feel like it's affecting you and you're losing control of it, just try to find that that center and not feel bad for certain things. Like, you might just be at a part in your life where the juggling is unfair, and that's okay, because the reason that it's unfair now is going to lead to all the fairness in the future. Like, if Brittany and I work really hard, we're going to have more money to do more things for our family and our kids in the future. That's just the way of life. So finding a balance is very... It's a myth.
It's just a bad term. It's just a bad term.
And I used to cling on to it. I used to be like, oh, work-life balance, like, that's so important. Like, yeah, you need to have, like, half and half. Like, it's very important to make sure that all the time you're doing both. And that's not true.
It's just not achievable. And then when you don't achieve something that you think you should be doing, you get that guilt.
Yeah.
And that's just something that we want to try to help prevent, is the working parent guilt. You shouldn't have it. And I liked that Ben mentioned, feeling centered. I think that once you kind of get a groove of the juggling, and you get in that groove and you start to be okay with your decisions, you just feel more at peace with yourself. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to, I'm always saying, this goes for men and women equally, that you need to take care of yourself and make self-care a priority, one of your rocks, and something that you occasionally hold on to that rock a little bit longer than all the others, because I feel like when you make self-care a priority and when you take care of yourself, everything else just falls into place. You cannot take care of others and do well in other areas of your life if you are not well. That's mentally and that's physically. Ben and I both together are putting a lot of effort into that self-care rock. Mm-hmm. By, every morning we're waking up, we're working out. We've given up wine and alcohol.
We've given up drinking. We've given up a lot of sugar and bad foods out of our diet.
The sugar in my coffee is a work in progress. Don't judge.
Yeah. Brittany's kryptonite is sugar, but we're working on it. Mm-hmm. And my kryptonite is just eating unhealthy stuff. Like, I could eat a Sheetz burrito every day of my life if I could. Right. like they're delicious and they're awesome, but like that's just not the best stuff for you.
Exactly.
So we got a pressure cooker, and we're starting to put healthy meals together inside this pressure cooker. That way we can maintain our convenience and our health. That's one of the things that we did to kind of up both areas. Like, we cut some time out of our cooking and we improved our health. And that is just one of them things, like, we're just juggling the balls, and that was a solution to stay juggling properly. And
exactly. And we do have a couple of really good leveraging tips. So
what is leveraging?
Okay, so leveraging is when you have a task that maybe you don't like to do, or it's just taking up a lot of your free time, and you can delegate that task to a service or someone else. So that way, while they're handling it for you, you can free up some time and actually focus in on something that you want to do, like work or family time.
Yeah.
Maybe date night.
All kind of things. For instance, one of the biggest things that we leverage is grocery delivery. We use Peapod by Giant, and we literally go onto the website. Well, she has her laptop out, and I go through the cupboards, and we figure out what we need, exactly what we need, and only what we need or want for that week of meal planning. We meal plan, and then we look at the cupboards, decide what we need to make this happen. Not only does that save us about an hour of grocery shopping, sometimes more.
Sometimes more, depending on lines, and if you have to go with the kids.
Yeah, it saves us.
That's a disaster.
Yeah, it saves us time. Not only time, but like, when you take kids to the grocery store, they always want 3 or 4 things, and most of the time you just give it to them. Like, they want this box of cereal too, or can we get a toy for $2? Oh, fine. Can we get this piece of candy? And then also yourself there, and like, I'm a sucker for Cheez-Its. Like, I don't order Cheez-Its on the internet, but if I go to a grocery store and I see Cheez-Its, I'm like, got them.
And I'm a sucker for Little Debbie's.
Little Debbie's, yeah. And then not only are you spending more money by going to the grocery store, you are also hurting other rocks that you're juggling, like health. Like now we're eating sugary bull crap because we went to the grocery store, and that impulse that sometimes gets people.
That 2 for $5 Little Debbie deal. Every time.
Yep.
And I'm always like, oh, it's for the girls, so they have cute snacks in their lunch.
Yep. And then look, that's $5 right there. That's not counting anything else or the time that you lost by going to do it. And grocery delivery is $7.95.
Let's talk about that $7.95. You're thinking, that's crazy. I'll spend an hour of my time and save myself $7.95. Okay. A, you probably make more money than that an hour. B, we saved $200
in 1 month.
In 1 month on groceries. And I track and I budgeted how much we were spending on groceries for months prior. And when we started doing grocery delivery for an entire month, we saved $200. And that's $200 of not just buying impulse food, food just because it was on sale. We were truly meal planning and also utilizing stuff that we already had in our cabinets. So we were just running our groceries more efficiently.
Yeah, everything was working more efficient.
That time's not spent wandering up and down the aisles and filling up the grocery cart, to unload the grocery cart, to put it back in your grocery cart to take it to your car, to unload it into the car, to come home and then unload it into your home. How many times
and
was that?
And on top of that, deal with 2 kids that didn't want to go grocery shopping because they'd rather be playing hide and seek.
And then want Happy Meals from McDonald's because they were good in the grocery store. See how this adds up? Now we get to just come home. They come home from school. The groceries are delivered. We cook dinner, and then we get to start movie night early. Or we get to play a game or hide and seek instead of grocery shopping. And with those things being done for you, that's when you start to feel that centeredness. Because when you actually have free time, your time with your family is more devoted. You're more present because you're not having to juggle all these other things anymore.
Yeah.
I know a couple people who hire a laundry service because that's the thing that takes up too much time in their life. We're looking into a cleaning service. We do a lot of cleaning, but I don't have as much time to do some of the bigger tasks. So we're just going to unload that on someone else so that way on Saturday mornings, instead of me scrubbing the baseboards, I can be playing with my children.
Yeah, because Brittany's a baseboard scrubber. For those, maybe a cleaning lady isn't for everyone, but it's for us because a dirty or not spotless house tends to give Brittany anxiety and she can't focus. So like that is a necessary expense for us. It might not be for you, but it is for us.
Yep.
So those little unique expenses, like just think about your life and what you need in order for it to run smoothly, and you'll find unique things like that. Like the cleaning lady is super essential. You might need somebody to do your laundry, or it's something else. Like
right, whatever it is.
Daycare.
You know, I have a business partner, and he is the one that primarily shows my clients homes. Mm-hmm. That in itself has helped me with work-life juggling. The other thing that I would say is blackout dates is a really important, it's not really a leverage, but it's just something that you should do. So, you know, we work every day, Monday through Friday, then plus occasional time on the weekends. Mm-hmm. What Ben and I do, and we coordinate this with the band really, really well.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I play in a band called the Small Town Titans, and our schedule is hectic and things can pop up at any time. And we have developed this thing called Blackout Dates, and what they are is untouchable days when someone is unavailable. Like it doesn't matter if there's a tour opportunity or like just a great, like a huge like studio wants us to come record, or like we're going to be playing Wembley. Like
well, maybe not that.
But that's ridiculous. But just things that, like, you know, weddings, like those are untouchable days.
Exactly.
Things like that. But also vacations need to be untouchable days. Otherwise, in our lines of work, we would never be able to vacation.
And there are things that we do have to pre-plan because of our schedules. They're not things that we can always do on a whim. Sometimes we do. but especially full week-long vacations, it's really hard to do that. So if you're struggling finding a good way to juggle, build in the family time and the maybe the hobby time in your calendar, and just make sure you make that untouchable and work your schedule around it. Another thing Ben and I do with the blackout dates is we have blackout dates that are considered family blackout dates. So these are days that we're doing things with the kids. And then we also have blackout dates or trips that are planned just for Ben and I. So I think that although it may be difficult for some people, you should definitely try to find a way to have date nights or at least weekend getaways without the kids. You need to have some focus on your marriage. I always talk about self-care. Self-care should be your priority because you can't take care of others unless you're taking care of yourself.
100% true.
If your glass is empty, you can't fill somebody else's cup with it, right?
Right.
Secondly, you need
and
to...
we've been there. We know that from firsthand experience. That's what burnout is.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Absolutely.
like burnout is when like you're not very good at juggling all of these things, and you end up burning yourself out because you don't take enough self-care or me time. And that me time is very important to fill your cup.
Right. So then secondly, that should be in place is your marriage. It's so easy for people to put their children above their marriage. And I don't blame you. I can understand why people do that. And I've done it before too.
A lot of people just put their children first no matter what.
Right. Here's the deal though. If things aren't going well in your marriage, if you're unhappy with your spouse, those unhappy feelings will get noticed by your kids and they will feel it. So make sure that you prioritize whether it's just a date night a week. Ben and I really try to have one date night a week, even if it's at home, because we are on this budget plan trying to save.
Yeah, we have staycations.
We have staycations where we just make it extra special. Maybe Ben, we make a dinner together and he lights candles, or we pick a movie to watch. We just make sure we have some uninterrupted snuggle time.
Sometimes I'll pull the bench out into the living room, and then I'll lay blankets down so we can get down on our knees and have like a Chinese meal, and I'll get Chinese takeout. Yeah. Or I'll set the Monopoly board up and like everything will be ready to play as soon as Brittany gets home. So because I work from home, she still has to go in the office.
Yeah. So just making sure that people understand that it is super important to carve out some time in your schedule each week so that way you can have time to focus on that marriage rock. Yeah. And then you can start focusing on, carving out time for your kids. Because again, they notice it when you're not happy. Big time. I can definitely say that from experience. And then lastly, obviously work is your last priority. However, it tends to take up the majority of your time because that's what funds self-care, date nights, vacations, and good, quality time with your family.
Yep. And your work, that's a double-edged sword.
Your work is also, it should be your passion.
It's what funds your family. A lot of marital problems are because of money.
Right.
So that is a double-edged sword. That's why this topic is so difficult and it's so hard to master. And it's just there is no balancing. You're juggling. And good jugglers become successful in life.
And if you have a passion to do what you're working for, if your career is your passion, I should say.
That makes it easier.
It makes it easier, and it makes you definitely feel more centered, and it doesn't feel so much like work.
Because I get to do what I love. I make videos. I play guitar in a rock and roll band. That is my passion. That's what I do. That is my living. If I wasn't doing that, I would be working third shift at UPS as a supervisor. No, my rocks would be so heavy. Your rocks get lighter if you do what you love. I think that's a good way to look at it. If you do it, you don't want to be juggling all these big heavy rocks. If you're unhappy at your work, you got to fix something about it. If you're unhappy in your marriage, you got to fix something about it. Fixing those problems make your rocks get lighter. You become a better juggler. It just becomes easier. So take that into account. If there's problems in your life, do your best to identify them and fix them. Lighten your rocks.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. We've definitely done that. We have noticed big problems, all kinds of things. I quit my job, I lightened a rock. We set up the Google Calendar because things were getting hectic. We lightened our rock. We got started to do grocery pickup in order to save a little bit of time and money and make our health better. We lightened our rocks. So it's just mastery of trying to lighten your rock.
Carving out our vacations. It gives us something to look forward to. And, you know, it's also something that we explain to our kids. I mentioned earlier that, you know, we talk to the girls about when mommy has to work and we want them to learn that work ethic and everything. We talk to them about it so they know. Like, mommy has to focus on work right now because we've talked about that we're saving for Disney. Yep. So the whole family is looking forward to that goal. And when we get there, it's going to be that much sweeter.
Oh, I'm going to shake Mickey's hand so hard.
Yeah, Kinsley's
you have no idea what we went through to be here right now.
Kinsley is like, I'm going to meet Mickey, Minnie, and Buzz Lightyear.
No.
Well, she says Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
To infinity and ye bond.
But it makes those rocks, like you said, feel lighter when you have something already planned, it's in place, and you're looking forward to it.
Yep.
And then it makes the kids a part of the process, and they don't feel, I don't think they ever feel bad because you're working, but it takes that mom guilt off and that dad guilt off when you know that you can tell them, hey, we have this really cool family thing coming up. And once a month, we do try to do something special with the kids as well. And when we're doing that special thing, like if it's Disney on Ice, over the summer we went to, what was that park for Kinsley's birthday?
I don't know.
We went to some safari thing.
Oh, yeah, the safari park, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, when we do those things, on our way there, we're like, you know, aren't we excited to go do this really fun thing? And then they'll be like, yeah, we're so excited. And then Ben,
we're like, we get to do this because we work.
Right. And we just explain that to them. Like, the only reason why we can do this is because Mommy and Ben work really hard to make money to help pay for our apartment and this new car that you girls really love because you have more, they like that how much foot room they have now.
Yeah.
And, you know, we work hard so that way we can buy a couple treats for you. And so we can do these special activities as a family. And it's just constantly ingraining that in them.
And your special activities do not always need to be expensive. Like, one of our life hacks is McDonald's.
Yes.
And we don't really go eat at McDonald's anymore, but
Nope.
they sell these little tiny ice cream cones for 50 cents.
50
We go
people.
to the local McDonald's that has a playpen and spend
Play
place. Has a playpen. A place, and we spend $1 in ice cream, and the girls have a blast, and like that's their fun thing, and we just get to play around their play place and get rowdy for a little while.
They
and
burn some energy.
They're stoked.
They love it. Like, they constantly ask to go there, and it costs us $1 to get them each an ice cream cone.
Yeah, so I guess we hope that there's something that we said in this podcast that maybe shed a little bit of light on something for you or helped you in some sort of way. Weigh in. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know what your struggles are. You can always text Ben and Brittany to 717-422-8318 to contact us directly. That is our phone number, and we will get right back to you and see if there's anything we can do to help. Like, that's just a good way to join our community. So let us know if there's anything else we can talk about or anything that really struck a chord with you, or if you have any ideas for us. We're always learning and trying to get better ourselves too. So anything, you got any last tips, baby?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate all your continued support. Check out benandbrittany.net. All of our podcasts are available for listening and watching over there. And yeah, take a step forward and get better at juggling, guys.
Juggling your rocks, not your balls.
Juggling your balls. Your set of balls are different than my set of balls. Take it easy, guys. We'll see you in the next podcast.